Welcome to Verified RX, your prescription for success. Brought to you by the Vizient Center for Pharmacy Practice Excellence.
Vizient Pharmacy Vision Awards celebrate the values and achievements of our pharmacy program participants. Elham Amiri, Pharmacy Informatics Project Manager at UCSF Health, is the recipient of the Professional Excellence Award, given to an individual who demonstrates leadership, strategic contribution, and commitment to ongoing learning and development. Elham and Dr. Noelle Chapman, Vice President, Chief Pharmacy Officer, and COO at UCSF Health, join us today to discuss their award-winning program. Congratulations on your award and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about your backgrounds, your roles, and your organization. Elham, let's start with you.
I have been in pharmacy for longer than I want to admit. Mom and pop owned pharmacy was how I got my start as a pharmacy clerk 26 years ago, and had some sort of position related to pharmacy. Eventually I got my technician license. I ended up at UCSF Medical Center. I was going to stay for a few years and move on. And that was about 21 years ago. I did a lot of operational duties to begin with, and then transitioned into leadership and all sorts of other roles, and have loved it. Here to stay.
That's great. Noelle, tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. I am the Vice President Chief Pharmacy Officer here at the University of California, San Francisco. I'm also an Associate Dean in the School of Pharmacy. I have the lovely pleasure of working with Elham as part of our team. I've been here with the organization not quite 3 years, so I don't have the long tenure that Elham has had here, but I can see that developing. But I've been in pharmacy leadership a long time. I was a technician 7 years before I became a pharmacist. I realized how long I've been in pharmacy this morning, and it scared the bejesus out of me. I landed here at UCSF and really loving it.
Well, I think I've got more years than both of you put together, and I was a technician as well. So we have that in common. Elham, your nominators shared some of the great work you've done at UCSF, including a novel technician leadership role. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I've been very lucky, especially with a lot of our leaders here. They're very open to advancing technician roles. Since I had done pharmacy for so long, I was always interested in what else can I do to work at the top of my license? What other things can I add on? Throughout my tenure here, I ended up transitioning into leadership roles as operational manager. The last 3 or 4 years, I've been with our Informatics division as the project manager. It has given me an opportunity to work in a little bit more of a non-traditional. Most of the time, we think of our technicians in retail or hospital settings as having particular roles and responsibilities, and advancement is only to a particular level. But with these non-traditional pharmacy technicians roles, it's allowed me to turn it into more of a career. I don't puck in and out. I consider it a career, and I'm on a development path, which is historically in this business, we saw a lot more with the pharmacists. Opportunities like this have really allowed us to make the technician positions equally a career path and not just a job. That makes it so much more rewarding. It also makes me want to keep doing it.
Thank goodness.
Tell us a little bit more about how your work contributed to the Pharmacy Value Improvement Program.
As the informatics project manager, I worked very closely with our informatics manager, and she, alongside with Noelle and my other leaders, took a non-traditional approach to how the team was set up, how our projects were managed, and encouraged us to think outside the box. I'm very involved with the pharmacists and the technicians on the informatics and automation teams. We do a lot of collaboration together of how projects are going, what are some of the deliverables, and thinking what kind of value can our team bring to it. So a couple of the initiatives that I was graciously nominated for were projects where we were able to directly impact patient care, but also have a revenue impact as well. A win-win all around. Part of my role was helping to keep us on track from a project management perspective, but being able to utilize my leadership background and my years of experience in the field to guide some of the decisions that we made around how best to implement the technology, track our success, ultimately combining all those things and having a really amazing team support really led to that success. It was an individual award, but it really was a reflection of my team.
We were really behind in informatics, automation, all of that 5-6 years ago. That allowed us to be able to look at how are other places doing this. The team has really put a lot of creativity. Elham's role, we say it's novel. It'd be really great if these kinds of things weren't novel, because we know that there's a lot of talent in our technicians, and how do we embrace that? We were able to really take a creative approach to how we want to organize this team, and then that allowed us to have the right priorities. It's not just, hey, let's get our day-to-day work done, but it's mission focused. Elham is a really great example. She's got the operational acumen to tie into that. She has the creative space to be able to create this team and say, hey, this is what my role should be. That's where a lot of the success comes in. All the other things about the projects they managed and the money we're able to save or generate, that's all secondary to taking a really creative approach. And Elham is underselling herself a little bit in her voice in that and being able to create the team that allowed that to happen.
When you said that she's underselling or underestimating herself, I know that you created the role, but it sounds like Elham took the role and you've really ran with it.
Having done this for a really long time, I've definitely thrived in an environment where sky's the limit. It's what you make of it. I don't think we're always able to do that. I've been really lucky in the last 3 or 4 years to be surrounded by leaders that don't look historically. This is the career ladder we have for our pharmacists. This is the ones we have for our technicians. And there isn't a lot of overlap. It can be really limiting. What I was able to do in this is make it my own. I had my evaluation, and it's exactly what Noelle said was my dialogue with Kendall. That's what continues to make our team dynamic and thriving. When I started with our team, there was so much opportunity to grow. There was just a couple of pharmacists. And now the team has grown so much. With that growth, my role is continuing to change. I have a lot of responsibilities that traditionally you wouldn't see, where I am mentoring my pharmacists, my residents, my leaders. That has made it a creative environment. We're not tied to traditional norms where, because I'm a technician, there's nothing that I can bring to the party in terms of mentoring. That definitely was one of the secrets to the success of being able to get past titles and just work through how can we support each other to do the best work. And we don't have to worry that I'm a tech or I'm not. If I'm able to inspire you and to help you be more creative and bring that skill set to the table, it shouldn't have any bearing that I'm not a pharmacist.
It's more about talent than labels.
Noelle, how does UCSF pharmacy leadership support the development of professionals like Elham?
We've been really talking a lot lately about how we need to put more effort into building those individual relationships so that we can create better connections between who someone is and what their amazing talents are and what the opportunities are. Elham's a really great example of that. Whoa, this girl's got talent. Let's do this. We need this skill set. Boom, let's connect those. We're trying to do that more on an individual level. That's really multifactorial. With someone like Elham, who's going to put her voice out there and say, I got ideas. I need to be a part of this solution. It's pretty easy, but we know that not everybody uses their voice in that way. How do we hear that? How do we develop people who want to be deep experts versus people who want to grow up into leadership opportunities, or other people who want to dive into becoming expert in an area that's more of a niche than some of the standard technical or pharmacist roles? We really have to have a multifactorial approach. We've been talking with our leadership team a lot lately about that, and I think a lot of that is connecting back to the individual. What do you want, and then what do we need, whether it's training, competencies, opportunity to make those things happen.
And Nicole, why is this so important to your organization's success?
It just brings me a lot of pride to see people become the best version of themselves. From an organizational standpoint, a rising tide raises all ships. If I can look at Elham and say, what do you want to do with your career? She said, this isn't a job. This is my career. What do you want to do? How do we give you opportunity? How do we refine that so it challenges you, but it also meets our needs? That's just great for patients. That's great for our organization. That's great for all of us and challenges us all to be better. One of my favorite leadership principles that I lean into a lot is surrounding myself with people who are better than me. That means that we need to be able to understand what their strengths are so that we know where they're better. What Elham does, I know 100 different ways she's better than me. And I'm so thankful that she's on our team because that helps then elevate everybody else to do their best.
How would you say that patients benefit from this model?
We really try to stay mission focused. Our patients are at the center of our mission, and everything we do needs to have them in mind. If we're looking at what kind of automation do we want to put in some of our pharmacies, that's based on safety, that's based on efficiency. How do we provide best care? There's a lot of other things that can get in the way of what's most important to those decisions. We can keep reminding everybody that the patient's at the center, then that's what's going to get better, is all of those things that impact healthcare, like safety, efficiency, the clinical care. There's so many different aspects of that. They've become the real benefits. We've really improved safety. We've talked about the finances. Part of this award is the money that she's been able to show that we've saved or generated. That helps healthcare as a whole because the economics of healthcare are difficult. Making sure that we can create those connections on a personal level with patients, maybe not directly related to some of the work that Elham is doing, but all those other things. When we can elevate people, all of those aspects of patient care improve.
All of this is very encouraging. What does the future hold for UCSF Pharmacy?
It holds a lot of innovation, embracing of diversity. It's very telling to work somewhere for such a long amount of time and still be excited at what's in store, whether it's my specific role or just the approach in general. The patients benefit when you have people that come to work somewhere that they love and somewhere that's exciting for them and something that motivates them and inspires them. They're going to pass that on to their patients at whatever level of work you do, whether it's frontline or behind the scenes, automation related. That definitely plays a role, a reflection of all the more exciting things to come and moving with change and adapting and not getting stuck in the ways of this is how we've always done it. When I think of the future, I got a good 5 or 10 years left in me for sure. So when I think of those 5 or 10 years, I think definitely innovation, change, those things definitely come to mind.
The short answer is amazing things. UCSF, one of the things that makes us be successful in what we do within pharmacy is UCSF as a whole sees pharmacy as part of the solution to providing world-class care to patients. It's not just a cost center. It's not just an ancillary service that does X, Y, or Z. We truly are at the table being creative, being able to flex those muscles to say, what do we need? We know patient access to care is a huge issue within pharmacy, medication access. So there's a lot of work that we're doing to say, how do we become part of that solution?
Is there anything else that either of you would like to share?
When I think of those next 10 years, we talked a lot about how do we set up a process where positions like mine do become the norm, and having technicians in what we considered non-traditional roles will slowly dissipate. Sometimes this position is a pharmacist and sometimes it's a tech and sometimes it's an analyst. And within reason, the running joke with my group is that I play a pharmacist on TV, but outside of that, being able to help set up a succession plan where these types of positions can grow and they can be in any form in terms of pharmacy. They can be implemented across the gamut of all of the specialties that we have. I hope that if there are technicians listening to this podcast, that they do ask those questions and they do speak up and they go to their leaders. I'm very lucky in the position that I'm at. Fast forward 20 years that my leaders are leading me, but sometimes you have to lead your leaders. Sometimes you have to say, I'm interested in this and I would like to do this and I can bring value to this as a technician. I'm hoping that is the message that people hear.
That segues into, there's some real inspiration in what Elham is doing, what this award represents. If we're in the status quo, we're behind and we have to keep looking forward. We got to keep moving. What does that really mean? That can be overwhelming. But when you look at someone like Elham, that inspires me to be a better leader because she's pushing me to be better. Hopefully that means that I'm pushing the next person along. Let's keep moving and use our voice in that way. And if we can keep doing that for each other, no matter what it is, whether it's pharmacy or life in general, that's all we can really hope for, is to have someone who inspires us to be better. And I'm very lucky to have Elham on my team. I know we have a lot of amazing people overall, but really inspirational and helps me to be better.
Thank you both so much for joining us today to share your perspectives and your expertise. I'm so glad you could be here.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. It's a real honor to have the work that we do at UCSF and particularly that Elham has done recognized in this way.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm grateful and honored.
And listeners, please join us for more Verified RX podcasts. Subscribe today, like us, and send us your comments. We'd love to hear from you. Verified RX is your prescription for success and is brought to you by the Vizient Center for Pharmacy Practice Excellence. Thanks for listening.